Well, I got under the car and I unbolted these are the rear sway bar mounts. I've got custom made brackets that I've fully welded to the rear end, and then they're molded all in and everything. All the rear end's painted high gloss black. Anyway, these are gold anodized or gold cad plated, and I don't really like it on there. The bushings are black. So they came with a Zerk, just a regular Zerk, and I replaced them with stainless steel that I polished on my buffing wheel. So what I started doing was using a red Scotch-Brite, and I'm Scotch-Briting it down. I'm going to use some DP90 on these, which is an epoxy. Anyway, I'm going to scuff that one. I'm going to paint those black, and then I need to do the fronts as well. That way that gold doesn't stick out real bad on the bottom of that chassis. These are the front sway bar end links. These are also painted with the DP90. Here's the bolts I changed out with ARP stainless 12 points. And then these deals right here, almost forgot these. So these are nut plates that I made out of plate, and I drilled it and tapped them, and they got these little button head Allen stainless screws. And those actually, when the hood brace goes up underneath the hood, they go into the back of that, and those button heads go on the side of it. So instead of just having nuts and bolts, it's a nut plate to, give it more strength. I got 12-point ARPs for these as well, and I buffed the washers, the stainless washers. So it ought to be pretty nice looking, with a gloss black sway bar and, just doing a little bit of detail stuff. Alright, so I got the brackets all painted, so that'll be pretty nice on there. No ugly gold cad color on that thing. That gold cad, it doesn't really stay looking nice. It almost gets kind of foggy and rough feeling over time. So almost like a little corrosion gets started on it or something. It's kind of weird. So I didn't want it on there, so they got painted black. But all four Zerks are polished, so that'll look really good with them gloss black sway bars on there. Well, it's about dinner time, so I think I'll eat dinner, and I'm not sure if I'm going to come back out here and work or not. I might wait till tomorrow. Who knows? I might end up coming out and sanding on that hood some more. Yay! Alright, so this is a project that I've been wanting to do for several years, and basically it's going to be a hinge cover that bolts on with some little button head stainless steel 832 screws, probably 2 on each side of the hinge. And the idea is to keep that from being to where it's just a channel piece, and also where you can not see the bolts. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and mock these up there and drill the holes and tap them, and then I'm going to bolt these side pieces on. Then I'm going to take some construction paper and stick it up there and burnish it till I can figure out my outer piece here. So this will be fully tack welded together and then all ground smooth, but it'll basically be a cover to where the hinge looks more solid instead of just open like that. The idea is just to hide the bolts. That's all I'm wanting to do, but I'm also wanting to put some speed hole details in this, so I'm going to do that. But anyway, to give you the idea, this is the side pieces. Now these hinges are curved out at the top, so when you put a piece on like this and you fit it up there, it has to curve out, but that kind of gives you the idea. I'll drill and tap both sides of the hinges, and little button head Allens will hold those on there, but it'll be a cover. I drilled and tapped the hinge 832, and that allows me to bolt on my little side pieces here. So I had the other piece bolted on as well, and then I took a ultra fine tip Sharpie and I drew right along the edge of the hinge here, because this is sticking out pretty good off of here in places. So at that point I took that first piece off and I followed my line with this, what do that right here. So I got some fine line tape here. So I followed that line around. So what I'm going to do is grind. I don't need to worry about this up here. I'm going to grind right to the outer edge of that tape, and that is going to be just enough distance off the top of the original hinge, but give me enough room to put the piece of outer sheet metal, the face plate, inset it. That way I can tack it on. So it just basically, it's going to be a better curve, because you can see I got it off pretty good, kind of rough cutting it out the way I did with a template out of construction paper. Alright, so I rounded the ends a little bit right here on both sides. So this will pretty much wrap around and under like that. That'll give you the idea. It's pretty much just a cover. But I'm going to speed hole it. That way there's speed holes back here. So I got the top cover piece semi kind of formed pretty close. I think what I'm going to do now is, because if I try to tack this together in the floor and then try to bolt it on the car, there's no way it's going to fit right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my welding blanket all over the car right here, and I'm going to turn the welder down pretty low and put me just a few tacks several inches apart on a low heat setting, and that way it kind of holds it in place while I can unbolt it and put some more welds on it. It's going to move when I really start welding it, but anyway, I'll do a little bit of welding and then test fit and that kind of stuff. But that is pretty much what it's going to be, is a full hinge cover, and I'm going to speed hole that. But it goes from that, where it's just a channel hinge with bolts, to that. So the other thing about it is I drilled and pinned my trunk. So this is drilled for pins, so when I removed the trunk after mock-up, I drilled it and then removed it. When I painted everything, when I went to put it on here, I put my pins in there, and it lined right up, bolted on, and I didn't have to readjust or tweak or anything. It's exactly where it was when I took it off in mock-up stage. So that's the best way to do it, to keep from chewing up paint trying to, realign it. But you are left with the two holes, which I put little plastic plugs in. So this holds the bolts and the plastic plugs, which I've got to take the deck lid off again anyway, so I may not even put the plastic plugs back in there. But anyway, so I'm going to drill some pretty large speed holes in here, evenly spaced, coming all the way down it. And then behind the speed holes, I am going to use, I've got a bunch of this stuff. This is the bow tie dash trim from an original 55 Belair dash insert. You can see in the dash in there. So I've got a bunch of this stuff. I've got a lot of original parts that are, scratched and dinged and not so great. They sell this stuff reproduction, so. All right, so what I'm doing is I got my package of stainless steel miscellaneous hardware out here, and I located 3 washers, and I'm basically trying to figure out a size that I like. Now these hinge covers, they go onto the side of the hinge, and this is the way your trunk hinge is. It flattens out, it gets wider at the top. So I'm trying to figure out, this part right here is wide at the top and it gets thin right here, and then it's the same width all the way down. What I'm going to do is taper these. So anyway, I'm going to go from a large hole there to a medium hole here, and then probably space them a little bit further than that. But, it'd be something like that. And then this last washer is the one that I'll continue using all the way around. So that will be my ultrafine tip Sharpie, and I'll draw the outside outline of that washer. So that's the exact step bit size I'm going to cut out, is how big that is, how big around that one is, and how big around that one is, all the way down. So I like stepping those when I can, because it gives more detail when they're stepped. But all right, so I got my bow tie dash trim pieces. Those are polished, and then I removed all the black paint from the inserts because half of it was gone anyway. I'm not going to go in there and try to paint all them little bow ties. Never would get it to look right, so they're going to stay just fully polished. Now I'll epoxy those in after this is painted, but this hinge cover will be body worked, blocked, primed, blocked, and then primed, and then sanded and painted. But it'll be the color on the car, the black, the gloss black. So it'll actually just look like part of the hinge. But the bow tie dash trim will be polished, and then I got the little button head Allens, those are polished. So that cover just slips on there, and then you just bolt it on. So that is very, very unique. I have never seen that done before, and I think it's pretty cool. So I tried to center the bow ties as best I could, you know what I mean, but there's like a center line there on them. But I love it, man. That is pretty cool. I got my speed holes, I got my bow ties, and I got a cover that hides all of that ugliness right there. So that is cool. I gotta finish building the other one. I think I'm gonna be done for today though. So I'm gonna have probably, I don't know, probably in the neighborhood of about 20-25 hours in them total after they're painted and everything and epoxied. So I'm just estimating, but that's why I've always said I've got more time than money. So if you paid somebody to do that, it would cost a lot of money. It didn't cost me nothing because I had all this stuff already here. So I love it, guys. Thanks for watching.